Um, Hello and welcome back to the Paper Soprano podcast. I am your host, Heidi Schneider, and today we're going to be having a little chit chat. A little chitting and a little chatting, if you will. So go ahead and get yourself a beverage, be it in the morning, maybe a coffee or a tea, or perhaps in the evening, maybe an adult beverage if you are of age. And I would like to start this podcast off by just basically crying for help and asking desperately to the universe, not necessarily anyone in particular, but if you want to help, please, by all means, go ahead. For some reason, I feel like I'm having trouble with the audio on this podcast. And, I know that that's, the main thing, and, it should be pretty self-explanatory, you turn the mic on, whatever, I'm kind of, sort of fussing with the dials, but, I don't know, I have a little, box thing and a little microphone, and oh girl, I don't know. I have been struggling because I know some of you have been saying that my recording has only been playing in one ear, in the left ear, and I thought I fixed it yesterday, but in reality I just didn't really do anything specific to change it, and yeah, I just kind of hoped for the best, and I guess it worked out. But now, today, it is not, I guess, going that way, and here I am. I was fussing with it for 15 minutes before this, and I'm listen, I do not know the first thing, and I'm trying to Google all these things and watch YouTube videos on it, and I don't know, you guys, it's just very strange, and the waveforms that I'm seeing right now are very small. I don't know if that helps any diagnostics. It's also only, I guess, recording mono, though when I try and record stereo with this microphone, for some reason it doesn't do it. But then when I try to use my computer's microphone, which is obviously a lot less high tech, it allows it to do stereo. I don't know, but I figured this microphone in mono recording, whatever the heck that means, but this microphone in mono is better than my computer in stereo. I don't know. Literally, I don't know anything. If I'm saying these words and these words mean something to you and then you're compelled to tell me what I'm doing wrong, please do. Oh my God. Yeah, so anywhoosie, that was weird. But anyway, so here's the deal. Basically, today was a very interesting morning because we had a bunch of snow last night, and it was a lot for Long Island to deal with, seeing as we haven't had much snow this season, but also not really much snow in the past 2 years. So maybe this is the one storm that's going to occur over the winter. I don't know, because that's pretty much what happened last year. And then there was nothing more after that. But for me, it was kind of hilarious because I woke up in the morning and for some reason it turned out that I had to take my car in. Yes, you heard that right. My brand new to me car over the past couple months has been brand new. I'm already having to take it in because I have bad luck with cars, and that's just how it is. But anyway, so I had to take my car in this morning, and so they were oh yeah, we're pretty busy. When I made this appointment, they were yeah, we've been pretty busy, and we've got a bunch of cars, in the shop already, so just bring it in and you can leave it here. And I was okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to do that because I don't just have people waiting around to come pick me up, and I don't feel like I want to take an Uber, and so I was planning on just waiting there. So that aside, I woke up this morning to a lot of snow, which is very fun, whatever. And what happened was I go and I get in my car, well, I don't get in it. I have to shovel and brush that baby off. You know the drill. There was like some really wet snow happening. It was all very compact and heavy. And what that means for your your tires is that there's not going to be a lot of traction because it's all basically water. And then when your tires rotate quickly and like heat it up, it's just going to basically like refreeze and become like slick snow ice. So I have to park in the street where I live, and the plows obviously went around my car and created like little snowbanks surrounding my car. So that was really hilarious to me that I was like shoveling my car out with my little shovel that I keep in my car, because when you're from Buffalo, you keep a shovel in your car. And I was shoveling it out with this little red shovel that I have. Like, oh my God, it was just so funny. I haven't had to do that in such a long time. And, you know, scraping, I was shoveling, I was brushing it off, like the whole 9 yards. It was such an adventure, really. And what a sad thing to say, because like what a terrible thing to be excited about. Like, oh my God, it was so much fun shoveling off my car. And like when I finally got out of that spot, like I had to get in and out a couple times because I thought I had it. Like I thought I, cleared enough snow so that I could do it. And I was like rocking it, putting it in reverse and then throwing it into drive and trying to really get over like the hump of snow that I had created. So I had to get in and out a couple of times, and it was really trial and error, as it always is. But it wasn't that much. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, I need kitty litter or something to get me out of here. So it wasn't that bad, but I definitely had to keep trying a bunch of times and whatever. And when I eventually got out, it was so triumphant. It was amazing. I was like, yes, we did it. And so that was pretty cute. And then I drove all the way on the unsalted, like unplowed, disgusting roads because it was early in the morning and nothing happens, until 10 a.m. And it was probably about maybe like a little bit before 8 when I left my house. So I go to the mechanic, which is really honestly was just a couple miles down the street. And I get in there and they're all like, oh, and I look over and like the window to where the shop is, like I saw it was just like full of cars. It was like this big garage full of like cars back to back, like all bumper to bumper, like must have been 30 cars all in this big Chevy place. And what happened was I was like, hey, I have an appointment. I was gonna, leave my car here. And I was like, do you have any idea of when it will be done? And she was like, the lady at the desk was like, oh, no, I don't know. Like, you're going to be here for hours if you want to stay. Because I was like, yeah, I don't have a ride home. And, hello. Like, so I made an appointment. So I thought that would be enough. But here we are. So long story short, I did not leave my car there. And I came back here, and before I did, I took another adventure and went through the Starbucks drive-thru, and it didn't really occur to me that there was a possibility that I could get stuck in the parking lot because it really wasn't plowed, because I don't know what it is. Maybe Buffalo just has a really effective and efficient way of getting rid of snow. Like, I don't know. I don't blame Long Island for not having a good method, but like, hot damn, there were some mad amounts of snow on the roads, and like it's just I don't know. And parking lots were bad too. The whole thing was just like kind of a hot mess, and it was like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure it's better now because people were probably working on it all day. But yeah, so I went through the Starbucks drive-thru carefully and actually ended up parking and going in because whatever. And I went in there and I was like, I can't believe you guys are here. And they were like, yeah, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I feel you, girl. Because if you have listened to the podcast, you would know that I also worked at Starbucks at a certain point in my life. And I know that those people who open up the store, who are there like when it's 8 o'clock, they likely had to be there by either 4 a.m. for opening or like 6 or 7 or whatever. So they've been there real early, so I'm sure they all had to struggle through the roads and the same kind of treachery. But anyway, so that was my morning, and I'm sure a lot of my fellow Long Islanders will be able to commiserate with this experience. I also spent some time shoveling today at where I am located. That was such a fun time. Wowie zowie, memories. And there's honestly, not gonna lie, there's nothing like a good, satisfying shovel. You know, if you get a really good shovel, I just realized that I'm talking about a shovel and why, you know. But for real, like if you've got a really good shovel that works really well, and it's not like one of those orange ones that are flat and lame, but it's like one of those hefty, like claw-shaped ones that's, you know, really thick and you can put your foot on it and it's just like super good, but it's not too heavy. The shovel itself isn't too heavy so that when you're lifting it, you're not lifting extra weight. Oh, just chef's kiss, you know? So did that and came back in here and just kind of, you know, did my thing, did some cleaning. We did some meditating earlier, which is always a real testament to how the day is going, because honestly, I felt like in any practice this can happen, but like today my meditation was just like total trash and I couldn't focus at all and it was like totally lame. And yeah, so but we still did it. Still crossed it off the list, you know what I'm saying? And I also did some practicing that wasn't so great, you know? I practiced some Bach chorales, or one specifically that I am trying to learn, and also did some caro nome. And you know when your voice is just not having a great day? Like, you know, it's kind of like that. And I feel like when I have these kinds of days, there's like a couple options. You know, you can practice still when your instrument is being unpredictable. There's a multitude of reasons, especially for females, like if you are about to get your period or if you are in a certain point on your like hormonal cycle of the month. Like, for real, this is not a joke. Men, listen up. Your voice will be affected. Very much so. And like, you will have differences in the coordination of the muscles. You will have differences in the amount of like, basically the amount of fluid and the blood that is being retained in your body. So like your entire body is affected. Like when you are bloated or when you are feeling like your body, not even feeling it, but when you're retaining things, like before this whole thing happens to women literally every month, you know, that changes your entire body. Your voice is not an exception. And I think that really needs to be normalized, talking about this kind of thing. I think it's so peculiar and archaic that people are not able to have conversations about literal bodily functions of half of the population. And yeah, so if you are a singer and you know, have bad vocal days, like it totally happens. And when this happens to you and me, I feel like the main thing that I try and do is, first of all, cut myself some slack and like be like, okay, here's where we are. This is, you know, it is what it is. And then second, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do right now? Do I want to, you know, speak the text? Do I want to practice like a rhythmic exercise? Like, I'm not trying to do anything groundbreaking in terms of like vocalises or, you know, coloratura exercises or anything like that. I'm not trying to use the voice in a way that's necessarily how I would normally do it. So it's like, okay, I can speak the text in rhythm. I can speak the text out of rhythm, like a monologue. I can, you know, look at the translation and really try and, make something out of that. Maybe I'd write out something that's like a little story about how I want to interpret it or something like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of options, and, there's just a lot of different things that you can do. And I'm actually reminded of this because one of my friends, Kelly Miller, who has a voice studio, if you want to check out her stuff, check out on Facebook, I believe it is, Kelly Miller Voice Studio. And she posted a post about this a couple days ago where it was like how to practice when you can't sing or you don't feel well enough to sing or whatever. And I think that's really important because so many singers are like, oh, my voice, oh no, I can't sing. It's like, sure, okay, whatever, you can't sing, but like, you can still practice, like, and not being like, you better practice, girl, but like, you better practice, girl, come on, like, you can do it, and, we're here already, you're already sitting at the piano, you can, like, you can sit down. One of my my very first voice teacher for real, Dan Ehas, would always encourage me, and I'm sure everybody else in our studio, that like really getting the melody under your hand on the keyboard, like on a piano, like sit down and play the melody and play it like as you would sing it, is like another way of really internalizing the pitch and internalizing the rhythm and your articulation and blah blah blah. And that's something that I do also with text. I'm a big advocate for first writing it out by hand. So taking your text, whatever you're singing, this is good for memorization, but it's also just good for pronunciation if you are singing in a foreign language and you really want to spell it out, and like seeing it spelled out and like taking the time, because your hand is slow, right? People get frustrated writing because it takes a long time, but that's the point. So it's like your hand takes a long time, but then also your brain has a lot of time to absorb the word fully, or those long German compound words, Hanny, those are not easy to pronounce all of the time. And sometimes it's like a mouthful, and you really just need to write it out a couple times and, make sure you're writing out the translation as well so that you can internalize the translation. And it helps for memorization too, but I find that once I'm past the point of just writing it out for like, I guess for learning's sake, I'm too frustrated by the idea of writing it out too slowly because I want it in real time. So what I will do after I am finished with the process of writing it out with a pen and paper, I will move to the keyboard on my laptop. Or on a computer. Not typing it on my phone or anything, but like I will type it out because typing is a lot faster, obviously, for me. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like I will type it out on the computer, and I will do that in a way that's very not particular with like the spelling or the spaces. It's more of just an exercise while like I'll put the piece on, I'll press play, put it in my headphones and listen to it, and then just type as it goes by. So I'm kind of like typing and listening at the same time, but I'm still, you know what I mean? I'm still like inputting kind of an action that's going to reinforce what's coming next, or the text that I have to remember. Like you got me. Or maybe you don't. If you don't, let me know. I'll try to explain myself better. But but yeah, memorization is a big part of singing, obviously. And I think it's something that's it's overlooked a lot by instrumentalists who most of the time, and I don't blame you. You have quite a bit more material most of the time to memorize if you're playing like a concerto or a symphony. There's no reason why you should memorize that. I mean, if your concertos are different, but Um, you know what I mean. Like, it's more common for, obviously, singers. There's an expectation that we need to be memorized with all of our material. And that's a big expectation, and that's a lot for anyone to just have to have that constant fear of, like, oh my god, am I going to remember this? Am I going to memorize it? Am I going to do it? And it's like, I had a teacher once who told me that you have to get yourself to the point where there's no chance that it wouldn't be memorized, or there's no possibility that you would mess up something, and you have to have that level of confidence going in, because whatever, everything happens in the moment, and if you have a memory slip, it happens. But if you're going in and you're like, yeah, I think I know it, or like, yeah, I've got it pretty much, then no. Like, no, that's a red flag for sure, and trust me, because I've been there. Like, and it just doesn't work. Like, it's just not, unless it's like in your body and internalized in such a way that you could sing it, so assuredly. You know what I mean? You guys know. So I think the main point I'm getting at here is that there's just a lot of pressure on memorization, and there should be. It's a big deal, and memorization is nothing to scoff at, and it's a little intimidating, but I think there are definitely ways that you can go about memorization. I know there are specific techniques that other people have used that I am not particularly fond of. Like, I can't really think of any right now, but things that I know work for me might not work for other people, and vice versa. So just realizing that you're going to have to try a bunch of different techniques. Something I want to add before I move on from this is, like, when I'm writing things out, I think one of my teachers at Fredonia told me this. It might have been Lisa Lehman. It might have been. I'm pretty sure. But I write in all caps, and just writing it all, like, so that it's all the same. And her reasoning for that, or I apologize if this isn't your reasoning, but from what I gather, is that so your brain is very like flowing with it. There's no periods, there's no punctuation, there's no stopping in the mental flow, because if there are those things like capital letters or big things, like, that might create this little dam in the flow, and because it's basically like stopping and starting your memorization process, right? So you're going through, period, and then the next line, and you're like, okay, next line, now I start with blah 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 blah. But, like, if you have it all in just kind of one, like, blah 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 blah, like a big long snake, you're more likely to, I guess, I don't know, you're more likely to memorize it all in its entirety than having sections where you have to memorize the beginnings of each one, and it's like, oh yeah, once I start with con que la, yeah, oh, okay, now I know what comes next. But, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. And if I am miscrediting anyone in their techniques, please do call me out, because I'm not trying to do that in any way. But yeah, so, oh man, memorization is just tough. But it's something that all musicians do, whether you're an instrumentalist or whether you're a vocalist, and it just makes music better. It just does, because you have to have it in your body. If you're not a musician and you're listening to this, there's a reason why audiences will perceive music better than, I guess not perceive, but, they're more connected to you. I guess I should say they're more connected to a performer who is not reading off of a piece of paper. And it's because they can tell when you are really invested in the piece and when your body is involved, and there's, even if you're not a musician, you know these things. Your intuition as a human being knows these things about music. And you, as a performer, would be surprised by how many people are privy to this knowledge that maybe they're not even aware of it, but they will tune you out, they will discredit you, they will, audiences will be like, it was okay, you played the notes or you sang the notes. But like when you're really connected and when you're really invested in the character or in the character of the piece, that it just speaks. And it has a lot to do with your eyes, it has a lot to do with your face and your body language. And then all of those things translate into the music as well. And like, it's a mixture of all of that. So when you're performing live, I think it's really special to have those moments with people. And who knows, honestly, maybe that's why it has been one of the reasons why it's been so difficult to deal with this pandemic and recording remotely is because that connection is a two-way street for sure. Oh my God. The atmosphere in a practice room is so much different than the atmosphere in like an auditorium. And when there's people there, and when you're singing for someone else, and when you have someone like listening who you feel like, you might be singing for them and for their enjoyment and for their entertainment and to tell a story. Like, it's so huge, and the camera and the microphone just kill that connection. They're murderers of like musical connection, because I'm not looking at people, I'm imagining them, and I'm trying to like, but I'm also, I'm thinking about how I look, I'm thinking about, the things behind them, and the dogs barking, and the microwave beeping, and my refrigerator turning on, and all of these stupid silly things that would just be obsolete in the recital hall. So think about that the next time you're watching a video of someone who has recorded their music, and they might seem a little disconnected, or they might seem a little distracted. It's probably because they are, and it's just different. Like, if you're performing on a live stream, or if you're performing and there are like in a Zoom, that's totally different. I'm not saying that like performing over a camera is completely void of connection, because when you're performing on Zoom, like, those people are listening to you, and it might not be great quality, and you might feel a little embarrassed about how it's probably cutting out your volume peaks, and you probably can't sing as full out because you're, in your own house, and it's not as official, so you don't really feel your best or sound your best, whatever. But like, those people are still there. So it's just different, and I am very, very excited at the potential, or at the prospect, I should say, of singing in person maybe at the end of spring semester. So either being outside, or like we can maybe get back into the building. That would be so amazing. Oh my God. Yeah, even just thinking about that, I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't that be so cool if we could like all sing in the building together? Like, that would be really amazing. Oh my goodness. But, for now, practice, learn your music, do some rudimentary techniques, maybe try out a different style, or start listening to some things that you wouldn't normally listen to. Take a chance, I know it's scary, and I know it's like, oh my God, I just can't even think about starting something else. It's like, I can't even bring myself to do the things that I have to do, or whatever. But if that scares you, or if it makes you, uncomfortable, like, you should do the things that scare you. You should do those things, and you should push yourself in the best way. And you know yourself better than anyone, so don't let anybody be like, you have to push yourself to this level. It's like, no, you can push yourself and know when you need to stop. So it's like, it is what it is. And there's a lot of things that we can do, and there's a lot of things that we can perpetuate, and that is practicing. So it's like, if you take anything away from this this episode today, episode 15, wow, a landmark, oh my god. If you take anything away from this episode, it's any practice on your worst day is good practice. Oh, we got a little notification there. But like, any practice that you can do on the days that you really feel like you don't want to practice, that is good enough. And that is what's going to string you along to the better days, and what's going to get you to your best days of practice. And those days will come. But, really trying to optimize your habits, and just using each moment, not each moment, but using some moments in every day realistically is enough. And I hope that I can inspire you to do some things that you might be procrastinating on or doing, and because, girl, I need the same thing, so maybe I can inspire myself. But it is what it is, and we are doing everything that we can. So keep on doing what you're doing, and maybe start something new if you want to. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And I also want to say thank you to so many people have been reaching out to me and, saying that they've been enjoying the podcast and they want to be a guest on the podcast. And I just have to say, like, thank you. And yes, of course, you can be on the podcast. Like, I will have anyone and everyone on the podcast as long as I know you a little bit. Like, I probably wouldn't want to chat with like a perfect stranger because I don't know what they're gonna say. But yeah, so thanks so much for listening, and this has been the Paper Soprano podcast. I hope you enjoyed, and if you like this podcast, please do give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the things I have to say for today. Ew, oh my god, it's so hard for me to say goodbye. I just can't say goodbye to you guys. Okay, well, I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much. I love you, mean it. Okay, bye!